Hi guys, Sifu's got Tarbell here, Wuxia martial arts. It's our weekly training video for the week. So this week we're continuing on with our kick defense series. So last week we started kick defense part 1, and we took a look particularly at how are we dealing with linear kicks coming to the mid-level. This week we'll do a quick review of that, and then we'll take a look at how we're dealing with some straight kicks coming to the legs, and then also what happens when we go to defend the mid-level, but the kick actually rises up to our face, which is quite dangerous for us. So without further ado, let's get started. So last week we took a look at setting up a good stance, just like this, with the Mount Southern style, and we had two real options when we're talking about a straight line kick, whether it be off the front leg, off the back leg, whether it be a side kick, or like any type of kick that's coming around mid-level, right? So we said that when we're set up in Nansao Wuxia, that typically if something is below the low level, that's when the legs are going to get, it'll be leg to leg, so the legs will take care of any type of leg attacks. But when the legs and the kick start to come up a little bit higher, we don't want to be trying to go really high with our legs. We want to be using our hands. Whenever something enters into this realm, right, this rectangular position broken up into 3 levels, right, and then if we take a center line, we really break it up into 6 different quadrants, right? And we don't have to get too technical about like, oh, this covers this quadrant, whatever. We just look at it in 3 sections, so low level, mid-level, and then high level. So whenever a kick is starting to come mid-level, or even low level, that's when we're going to start to have the hands be able to deal with those things. So, with that said, we had 2 main things that we looked at last week for dealing with a mid-level straight line kick. The first one that we looked at was using the crab step, so I'll back up a little bit here. It was using the crab step this way a little bit, and then the chin bow, and then we use this gun dart to wedge out the center line so that the kick would go to the side, and at the same time, we're trying to take over the center line and punch this guy. So whenever you have somebody who's a good kicker, it's always best if you can take away their space, and stepping in hard and fast with good punches is always a surefire bet to close that distance. So this was option 1 that we looked at as review. So we went here, hung bow, chin bow, and then we hit the gun dart. And the nice thing was it didn't matter what type of kick they were throwing, what leg they were throwing, I can set up the same way every single time. As long as something straight is coming, we're going to crush that thing, or wedge it out. Okay. So we also talked about the idea that if this guy is coming very, very aggressively, and maybe we don't have time to step or something like that, and it kind of takes us by surprise, that we could go from character 2 and step back and turn using the gun style like this, as we do in Chung Q. All right, so from here, if the kick came very quick and I didn't have time to step, right, or if I'm just feeling like, it's a little bit safer, then I step back and turn into Junma, right, and this is just like the end of our Chung Q, and I block his kick down, and then I step in and punch right away. And we had 2 options for your review. So 1 was when I stepped back and I got off the center line, anything going straight was bypassed this way, right? And then I could either punch quickly with the front hand and step in, or I could punch off the back hand and try to get like a lot of power. So the choice is really up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. But the main intercept that we're looking for is to step back and get off the center line this way, and then come in. So that was a quick review of last week. You can go back and check that out for more details if you're interested. But this week, what I'd like to do is start to talk about, well, what happens when that kick goes higher, right? So if we were trying to do this, and that kick starts to like slide up our arm and is coming around here, I would say 2 things. 1, when we do the first technique, right, and I step to the side and I go here, right, you're looking to make contact with his leg, right? So if I'm making contact with the leg, but this is sliding up, 1 is I have this to kind of protect me. I'm already off of the center line anyway, right? Even if you were just here and you stepped to the side, the kick is going off the center line. So on both principles, whether it's this one or whether it was this one, the idea is getting off of the center line and then coming back onto the center line, whether it was here, this way, or whether it was here, this way. So really being able to navigate around the center line and move away from where the power is, right? You never want to go into the power. You always want to try to move away from the power by either yielding, turning to the side, something like that. All right, so let's say that we're going here, right? And I try to do the gun dart, but this thing right? Makes minimal contact because now the kick is coming up. So anytime this is happening and it's coming up, one, I'm gonna go on guard right away, right? You have to protect yourself. Two, if it's sliding up my arm that way, I'm gonna use the Lao Sao, all right? Now the Lao Sao we have in the 6th set of the Sun Tao when we go here and we lift up, just like that, and then we do this thing. This is the Lao Sao. This is a lifting hand, like that, you know, sometimes called a cradling hand, like you're trying to lift something up into the air. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So when we go here, I step, I go to do the Gundar, and I'm like, whoa, there's nothing here. So even if I hit him and this starts to slide, I'm gonna come up right away, right? And lift his leg straight up, right? And this isn't like I'm catching his leg down here where he's still powerful and he can clinch or something. As soon as I get this, this is going up, just like in the 6th set, right? So when I go from the Wuxia all the way up, right? This thing is about eye level, a little bit higher maybe than eye level. So it's the same thing when I go here, this way, and the kick slides up my arm, right? I go like that. Right? I want to catch him and lift this up, just like that. Now, the next piece is whenever you have somebody's leg up in the air, the first thing that they want to do is get their leg back down because they're only on one leg, right? So, you know, the falling is inevitable for them. So a lot of times guys will try to clinch or they'll try to hit you or something like that, anything to kind of like shake you up so that they can get their leg back. In Wing Tsun, once we get the leg, we don't let them get that leg back, right? Like they're going for a ride. Yeah. So from here, right, we go this way and I punch, comes to the side pump, and then my Gundar comes up with the Lao Sao. Now from here, right, you can see I have my right foot forward. I'm gonna Fox Sao and step forward with my left foot, and then this all goes forward. So once I catch it, whether his hands are up, I'm gonna Fox Sao into his hands, or if his hands are on me, trying to grab me, I'm gonna Fox Sao into his face or his throat, right? And then he's going for the ride. So what that looks like all together is I go 1, 2, and then as it slides, the punch comes over, I lift, I step forward, and I go this way. All right, and you are like Fox Sao on this guy, and you already have him here, and I am pushing up and out a little bit. All right, so one more time. From here, I step, and I try to do this. Now, the kick goes high, sliding up my arm, or there's just no pressure there at all. The kick's already there. Right? So I go to protect, and then this comes up right away, right? Then I step forward with the Fox Sao, and I'm lifting. And I am throwing. It is a throwing motion, so it's not that you're just striking the guy, right? It's not that I just go here and then strike the guy, right? And he just falls down. I mean, that's not the way it works. I mean, if you hit him in the throat, he's still not gonna fall down. So the idea is that I do have to like go forward and give him a little bit of upwards and forward pressure. So you go here, right? Step, here, lift, and then this way. So this Fox Sao is going in, right? This is already up, and then I go forward a little bit, all right? If you're training this with a partner, I strongly suggest that you go very, very slow. I mean, even when we have the mats here at Wuxia, but you know, even with mats, you got to go really slow because people will land on the back of their heads and stuff like that. So you got to be very careful. So I would break it up into pieces with your partner, like have them kick, right, and then you step off and you try to do this stuff, right? That's first, and then they go a little bit higher and you catch, right? You catch just like that. Then the third thing, right? I go here, I catch, and then I step forward. And I lift just a little bit where they're maybe up on their tippy toes, right? But they're not like totally trash. You're not like plowing into them. So from the side, this thing's gonna look like this, right? So from here, I step, Gundar, right? This comes over as I lift up right away. Now from here, I step forward, Fox Sao, this way, right? So here, right, we go 1, 2, 3. And one last time. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And when I do the Fox Sao and the step, right, you're just taking a regular advancing step. But I like to take a generous advancing step to really get some momentum behind my throw as well. Okay, so Like I said, if you're trying this with a partner, I would go very, very slow. And, you know, even when you get here and you step in, you know, you can let your partner like hold onto your shoulder or something, so you're not totally trashing them. Like I said, even here with the mats, yeah, we'll do this thing either off the round kick or off the straight kick, and like just you let your partner grab you while you're doing it, so they get the feeling of falling and you get the feeling of like almost throwing them over. You know, like I said, here we train the break fall and we do all that stuff, and we know how to do that on the mat. Is a little bit different, but even then, I mean, nobody's going 100% stepping in and doing this thing. That stuff's like for demos or actual fights, you know. So yeah, okay. So that is one thing that I want you to think about. The second thing I want you to think about is now the low line, right? So the low line, it's not very common, right? So let me just make a quick adjustment here. Yeah. So it's not very common for somebody to be here and like throw kind of a straight line kick low. Typically, if they're throwing a kick low, it's going to be like a low side kick, or it's going to be like one of these slant thrust kicks, which a lot of styles don't really do. To be honest, now it's starting to become more popular in MMA. You know, a lot of fighters like John Jones and some other people, Tony Ferguson, Anderson Silva, are starting to implement you know, a lot of these kind of Wing Tsun techniques that work. They call it oblique kick, and some of these things. But I mean, back in the day, like the slant thrust kick and the low side kick to the knees, those are clear Wing Tsun techniques. And you know, and even if you can go and watch some Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, you can see that he favored these a lot as kicks. But for most people, like I said, most people on the street, like if they really want to hurt you, they're not going to like try to kick you like low like this or something like that. That's but for us, I would say one thing that we can think about is how can we use the slant thrust kick as a tool to either intercept somebody as they're, you know, maybe gonna kick. So if they started to like bring this thing up and you were very, very fast, right? Or if they were like gonna skip in and try to like get this kick up, we could intercept it. And that's the goal here with the low line. And this is where we said that the legs will take care of the legs. This is a prime example, right? So you're trying to focus on three methods, right? So the original three methods of Wing Tsun: intercept, control, and then destroy, right? So our intercept is not always done with the hands. Sometimes you're intercepting like their movement with their intention. Like as they go to do something, you're just already intercepting their movement. And this kick, the slant thrust kick, you know, or as my earlier Sifu Alex used to call it, he said the stop kick, right? That you would actually use this to just like kind of stop somebody's motion. And the most important thing that you're doing is that you're not trying to like blast them, because I just need to intercept the movement. So it looks like this from character 2, right? When somebody steps in, or somebody's gonna like lift the leg up to start the kick, right? From here, all I do is bring this thing up. I go like that. And you can see it's turned out just like in the Chung Kyu when we do this, right? From Chung Kyu, we go this way. But that's the turning kick, but the position of the foot is slanted, right? So when we're here, I shift my weight and I go like that, right? And I stop. Because remember, these guys are either stepping in and I intercept the movement with the kick, so on their shin, right? Or these guys are going to throw the kick this way, off the front or off the back. And if you're very quick, right, as they step in to do this thing, you go right away, right? So this slant thrust kick, just like that. Now, I always like to follow it up with my own kick, to be honest. Yeah, so the slant thrust kick, if you can think about like riding a bicycle, right? If you were riding a bicycle and you know, you're going very fast, and then all of a sudden, like your front brakes get stuck, or you like your front tire hit something, so you got movement happening, and then all of a sudden, right, movement stops, and then typically what would happen is you would go over the handlebars, or you know, you would stop, and then the momentum would keep going, but the front part would not. And that's kind of what you're doing with the slant thrust kick, right? This stop kick. So when I go here and the guy comes in very aggressive, either to kick or to step in, right? And we go here, we go crack, like this, right? All his forward momentum is stopped, but it's stopped down low. So typically, if they're here, or if they're going to kick, right, they end up continuing to go forward. So this is why we have to be very careful, right, because you don't want them falling into you either. So from here, right, I kick just like this, and now I put my foot down, and I go with my own front thrust kick, just like that, right here. So they step in, slant thrust kick, I step, and I throw my own front thrust kick. All right, one more time. So from here, slant thrust kick, step, front thrust kick. And of course you could add chain punches, you could angle, you could do whatever you want to do afterwards. But the main focus is on how you're going to intercept that guy's movement when he's here, right? And then he actually commits to stepping into your personal space until he gets kicked, and then he gets kicked again. Or if this guy's here and he goes to kick, you can stop that kick before he ever even gets it up to the chamber to actually do any type of high-level kick. All right, so here, slant thrust, step, front thrust, and then a couple chain punches. Let's look at it from the side here. All right, so from here, I shift my weight to the side, right, and I'm kicking well. Now, a common mistake that a lot of people want to do is they want to try to kick high. But remember, right, we're aiming here, right, on his shin, so it's very low. It's like right here, right? So you don't have to go too high. And you don't need power, you just have to put something there, right, to either inhibit his momentum coming up, right, or his momentum going forward, right? So when I go here, shift, slant, thrust kick, put it down, thrust kick, and I step behind. I step my foot up, ready? Here, 1, 2. And I can change the hands if I want, it doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable here. 1, 2. Okay, now, in a very rare case, sometimes if you get like a really big guy, you know, and a really big guy comes in and you like check in with this thing, you know, he may not fall forward this way because he's just so big. He's just going to be like, and you probably just make him mad, right? But that's why you need that follow-up kick, right? So when I'm here and I go like that, if he's still standing in front of you, right, then I can kick. But if this guy rushed you a little bit, right, or even better, like if I kick somebody and they really like fell into me this way, and I couldn't get the kick up, well, remember, when we go here, every time I'm going to kick, my knee has to come up before I kick, right? So the kick is the long range, the knee is the short range. So, you know, if you had somebody that either rushes you or somebody that like maybe, you know, like you hit them and then they really come over the handlebars, they really like fall into you as you're trying to bring that kick up to the chamber, it's no work. Then the knee is there, right? So when I go here, I go boom, and then this way, the knee is there, like that. Right, so here, yeah, slant thrust kick. If I can kick, I'll kick. But if I can't, and this comes forward, then the knee is there. And then you would be in knee range or elbow range. And you can go back and look at the clinch series, you know, for some kind of basic things that you can do. But that's the idea, right? Is that one, you want to stop their momentum from coming forward. That's always best for a kicker too, you know. If I can stop their momentum and kind of get them to simmer down, because a lot of good kickers are going to be moving around, or like the Taekwondo guys are like here, you know, and doing this stuff, and you're like, you're the Wing Tsun guy, and you're like, oh my God, like when do I go? You know, because once that guy crosses into your space, right, that's the time to go. You know, even if you get hit with the kick and like, or it wasn't a clean intercept or a clean, you know, simultaneous attack and block, that's fine. You just have to go, you know, because he shouldn't be getting a second kickoff at all, right? So nothing is perfect in fighting, but in training, we can train to be perfect, right? But in fighting and chaos, like things are never perfect. So there's no magic style, there's no magic pill. It's just Wing Tsun's theory is typically a lot more scientific and systematic than other styles when it comes to self-defense, right? So that's your video for the week, kick series part 2, particularly linear kicks, high level, right? So if it goes high, throwing the guy down. If the guy is starting to come up, right? Like I said, then you got the slant thrust kick and some follow-ups that you can use like that. And then, like I said, you know, anything, like if the guy was trying to do like low side kicks or even his own slant thrust kick, if I can like beat him to the chase and get on top of his leg, that's always a great thing. You can, you know, intercept his movement and his momentum, right? So, all right, guys. Well, you have a lot to train. Go back and review part 1 from last week, and then add this stuff in from part 2. All linear kick defense, right? And then just play around, have a little bit of fun. Next week, we'll be starting the circular kick defense. We'll take a look at like all different types of stuff. Like, what do we do when, you know, the guy is trying to like throw round kicks, you know, either body and leg or high, you know, and then we'll also take a look at, you know, what do we do when people try to spin? You know, when these guys are like trying to go in with that stuff, or like these guys are here and they're trying to throw like, you know, spinning hook kicks and like all that kind of fancy stuff. We'll take a look at how do we shut that stuff down and then be able to get in. All right, so train hard, and I'll see you guys in class. All right, take care.